Who should be the next Black Panther? That's going to be the driving question moving forward in the MCU since Chadwick Boseman's tragic death and Disney's decision not to recast the character. Well, there are certainly a lot of options to choose from. While the process to fully take up the mantle is no easy task, the comics have seen a wide variety of characters take up the Black Panther name, including T'Challa's greatest enemy, Killmonger, and even Captain America himself. Who else has worn the iconic suit? Well, let's get into it right now. The best heroes are oftentimes challenged by amazing enemies. A truly dastardly, charismatic, and somewhat relatable villain can oftentimes bring out the best in our main hero. That was the case with Michael B. Jordan's Eric Killmonger in the MCU. Arriving in Wakanda to challenge T'Challa, Killmonger is often called one of the best villains the MCU has ever seen. Definitely top 5. He was so likable and engaging in the role that there are still a lot of calls from fans to somehow resurrect Killmonger in the Black Panther sequel so that he can undergo a redemption arc as the new Black Panther. And although that may not be the best option for moving forward with the franchise, it would certainly create an interesting narrative. We saw Killmonger in the MCU take the heart-shaped herb and try to wipe out oppressive governments around the world. But what would happen if he was given a new lease on life? There's certainly comic book precedent for it. The comics saw a similar plot where Eric returned to Wakanda, challenged T'Challa by a trial by combat, and was successful, therefore being named the new King of Wakanda, though his experience with the heart-shaped herb wasn't as easy for him. The original herb made him sick, forcing him to make his own synthetic version of the herb in order for him to fully be the Black Panther. As you can imagine, his time as the Black Panther didn't go well because for some reason, he couldn't get people to trust him. Shuri was one of the scene-stealing stars of the first Black Panther, so it's no surprise that there's a big push from fans to see Shuri take over as the new Black Panther. I mean, it would make sense, right? She's next in line for the throne, and even though she's a teenager, she's already one of the smartest characters in the entire MCU. She's basically the reason Wakanda is so advanced right now, and we can only imagine what life has been like in Wakanda since she was snapped away. But would she make a good Black Panther? Well, if the comics are any indication, absolutely. In the comics, Shuri had to step up and become the Black Panther after T'Challa fell seriously ill. But it wasn't an easy journey for her. The Panther god Bast, who decides if people are worthy of being the Black Panther, initially rejected her because she tended to be a little selfish. But that didn't stop Shuri. She still wanted to help her people, so she still took on the mantle without permission. This actually impressed Bast, and eventually, Shuri earned the Black Panther title, as well as becoming the new Queen of Wakanda. Ororo Munroe, otherwise known as Storm, has a long history with T'Challa. Long story short, the two got hitched. Their relationship is one MCU fans really would have liked to see explored on the big screen, with the mutants joining the MCU sooner rather than later, but since T'Challa will not be recast, it's clear this romance will never be seen on the big screen. And as awesome as Storm is on her own, there is a specific version of her that became the Black Panther in the comics, though not in the main universe. Over on Earth 161, the version of Ororo Munroe was actually split into 2 separate entities. One of these entities was a being made of pure energy, and the only way to contain all that energy was to hold it together with a Black Panther suit. So she became a version of Black Panther known as Ghost Panther, which, come on, is a 10 times scarier name. Panthers are already terrifying, and now you're making a Ghost Panther? If the MCU ever wants to get wild, they should definitely make a Stone Age Avengers movie. Who needs all that future technology when you can get prehistoric? And it's during this time that the very first Black Panther made his mark. It's Black Panther 1 million BC. We don't know his name, but this warrior wearing nothing but panther skins worked with the Stone Age Avengers and even fought a Celestial that was named the Fallen. Like, come on, even the modern day Avengers can't say they fought and beaten a Celestial yet. Get ready for World War II Black Panther. That's Azzuri, who served as king during the time where Wakandans didn't really travel outside its borders. Captain America actually crossed paths with this Black Panther during the war, and although they started off by fighting each other, they eventually became allies to stop a Nazi invasion. Teamwork really makes the dream work, am I right? We've met T'Challa's sister in the MCU, but what about his brother? Besides Shuri, in the comics, T'Challa has a brother named Sion, who was actually the Black Panther before him, though he never really wanted the job in the first place. Even though it wasn't his first choice, he didn't make it easy to give up. He still respected that someone had to beat him in combat fair and square in order to become the next Black Panther, and after numerous Wakandans tried and failed, T'Challa anonymously challenged him and won the fight. Though there were no hard feelings, Sion stepped down and acted as an advisor in T'Challa's inner circle. I've already talked about going back to the past for Black Panther 1 million BC, but what about the Black Panther of the future? That's where Kashamba comes into play. Kashamba lives in the future, and it's important to note that he's not a T'Challa descendant, but rather, he's a council member who decided to step up and become a symbol for freedom. He didn't rule as king, but rather ruled by a council since the royal bloodline had died out. Wakanda was in a bad state at this time, and when a new version of Dr. Doom stepped up to invade Wakanda, Kashamba decided to step up to take the Black Panther mantle and to help inspire the Wakandan people. On an alternate Earth where Ultron succeeded in killing a lot of Avengers, Tony Stark raised Black Panther and Storm's child in secret. His name was Azari, and he seemingly inherited his father's Black Panther's gifts, as well as his mother's ability for manipulating electricity. The result was a powerful combination of strength and skill. You see, kids, it helps a lot to have superhero parents. You'll probably inherit some good stuff. Mainly she's on this list because she has an awesome name. Sky Panther? Come on. I know I already said Ghost Panther was scary, but can you imagine a Sky Panther? You think you're safe and then boom, Sky Panther. Anyway, given her look with the white mohawk and her abilities, she's just a different Earth's version of Black Panther and Storm's child. It just reinforces that any child of those two is going to be mostly amazing. Okay everyone, there's another Ghost Panther out there. And this one is more of a mashup. After the creation of a pocket dimension where history was rewritten and a bunch of characters were fused together, the characters of Ghost Rider and Black Panther were merged as one, leading to, you guessed it, Ghost Panther. So basically combine both of their backstories. T'Challa was an arrogant prince who was exiled and taken under the wing of showman Jericho Simpson in America, where he took the stage name Johnny Blaze. You get the idea. A little bit of mythical comic book mumbo jumbo and boom, you get Ghost Panther. Wait, isn't Bronze Tiger a DC character? That's right. This Black Panther version comes from the Amalgam Comics universe, which combines DC and Marvel heroes. It's a lot of fun, and one of those versions is a combination of Black Panther and Bronze Tiger, resulting in Bronze Tiger, aka the King of Wakanda. Okay, so a lot of focus is always on T'Challa, but we have to stop for a second to give some love to T'Chaka, T'Challa's father. The MCU only ever gave us a brief clip of young T'Chaka as the Black Panther, and he looked just as kingly and ferocious as his son. If the MCU ever wants to take a jaunt to the past again like they did with the 90s in Captain Marvel, maybe there's a chance we could see T'Chaka in the suit again. Heck, even the Eternals would be a good place for a quick appearance. Sometimes a lot of people are just inspired by Black Panther. Take Kevin Cole, for example. In the comics, Kevin Cole was a police officer who just wanted to help the world. One of T'Challa's suits was held in a New York precinct, and eventually, Cole suited up in the suit and pretended to be Black Panther to help clean up the New York streets. After making a deal with Killmonger, Cole got his hands on a synthetic version of the heart-shaped herb, and with his new heightened senses, eventually became White Tiger with his own suit. In the Ultimate Universe, which is one we might see sometime very soon with all the multiverse shenanigans the MCU is in for very soon, T'Challa is still the Black Panther, but a different set of circumstances have led Captain America to take over for a short time. You see, in that universe, T'Challa was actually a subject of the Weapon X program, you know, the program that's responsible for Wolverine. The story is a little convoluted, but here's the highlights. T'Challa was horribly injured and placed in the Weapon X program to help him heal. And then eventually, Captain America himself started training him to become a hero. Then T'Challa was brought into the Ultimates, but then an old switcheroo happened. Captain America actually switched places with his protege by wearing the Black Panther mask and costume, which allowed T'Challa to secretly return to Wakanda. So yeah, that still counts. Captain America was Black Panther, and given how similar their strength and skill sets are, it kinda makes a lot of sense. Do you think Venom would make a good protector of Wakanda, or would he just go around eating literally all of his enemies? I guess he'd really live up to that lethal protector name. Anyways, in the comics, there was a version of Venom that became Black Panther, but it wasn't the Eddie Brock version, unfortunately. This was a young woman from Nigeria who lived in an alternate universe named Ngozi. She was a track star until she lost the use of her legs in a bus accident. Being an avid bug collector, she accidentally came across the Venom symbiote, which is why you shouldn't go outside. In this universe, her country was being attacked by a villain called the Rhino, and to stop him, she convinced the Venom symbiote to bond with her, thus saving the day. After defeating the villain, she eventually joined the Dora Milaje, who trained her even more. With those training skills and the symbiote's powers, she was practically perfect and eventually accepted the Black Panther title, following in T'Challa's footsteps. I hope as we branch out to different universes, we see even more Black Panther variations. Do you think a Hulk version of Black Panther exists out there somewhere where T'Challa has a heart-shaped herb with the side of gamma radiation? A guy can dream, right?